Welcome to Rock the Crown. Introducing our host, Nafisah, queen about her business in 60. Host Naima, queen get it done and fitness guru. Host Nefertari, queen residential redeveloper and creative director. Host Daia, boss queen biz and youth motivator. All right, Crown Nation, let's get it. Season 2, Rock the Crown.
Welcome to another episode of Rock the Crown. Thank you so much, Crown Nation, for joining us. We have an exciting episode today. Today, our episode is entitled The Role of Religion in Black America Today. Where are we headed?
Well,
And before we get started, you know I got to introduce my fabulous co-hosts who are here with me today.
I'm Naima.
And Nefertari here.
Yes.
What's up, Crown Nation?
We're so excited to bring you this topic today. And this topic came to mind too because, for one, we're in that holiday season where different people are celebrating holidays that are going to be coming up. And two, we just wanted to reflect on this because it is a part of our lives. So we just wanted to kind of reflect on it, talk about it a little bit, hopefully give you some points to think about. And that's kind of where we wanted to go today with this topic. The role of religion in Black America. Where are we headed? And also, too, recently, there was a Pew study, Pew Research. I know a lot of intellectuals are familiar with the Pew Institute, but they came out with a whole study, too, talking about religion and the different makeup of religion in America, and as opposed to also involving the different races and things of that nature. So we thought it'd be interesting to bring you this information, and hopefully we can hear from you too. You can put some your comments or your questions or send them to us as well, or write down some little notes as we're going along and talking, and hopefully you can gain something from this. So the role of religion in Black America. And when we talk about this, we know that Christianity in America is a predominant religion. It's anywhere, depending on what polls you look at, anywhere from 65% to 75% of Americans are Christian. And then Christian, of course, is further broken down into the various different denominations, whether you're talking about Catholics, whether you're talking about Protestants, Baptists, it's just different denominations of Christianity. But you also have Hindu, you have Muslims, right? You have Buddhists. So there are other religions. You also have atheists as well, right? Those who don't claim a particular religion or belief in God. But today we're going to talk about specifically those who believe in religion. And we also know, we always got to give you a little history to start from, right? Because when you talk about the founding of America, as we know it today, right? And we talk about, in particular, one of the tenets and primary reasons that is cited, at least from a historical perspective, on why this country was even founded was because there were people so-called escaping religious persecution from Europe. And so when they came here, they wanted to make sure that, hey, there was religious freedom. People were free to practice whatever religion they wanted to. And in particular, this whole idea of being separated, church and state being separated, right? And in particular, I thought it was very interesting when you talk about Thomas Jefferson, right? And and you talk about Thomas Jefferson and the fact that he owned the Quran, right? He referred to Muslims as Mohammedans. A lot of times they didn't know what to call us, so they call us Mohammedans, off of, after Muhammad, peace be upon him. And so in his lot of debates and proposals that he put forth in terms of trying to put together the drafts for the direct Declaration of Independence and the Constitution, he specifically talked about that he wanted this this country to be people to be free to practice, whether it was Hinduism, whether it was Christianity, whether it was Jews, whether it was Muslims. He wanted them to be able to practice it. And he actually put this in a draft, a proposal that came out of Virginia. But a lot of people didn't like that. So they had to make some amendments to it, to take out all the references to Muslims, take out all the references to Jews and Hindus and anybody else that was non-Christian. But the point of the matter is that when you talk about the beginning of this country as we know it today, that there was a consideration and an acknowledgement that there were other religions that were practiced here in America, and they anticipated and wanted this to continue throughout our entire history and future. So that was a consideration, right? So we want to keep that in mind. And also, I thought it was interesting too when you talk about us as Black Americans in particular, even though we know we were here, right, before slavery, and many of the Africans that came before slavery were in fact Muslims, right, from Africa, but a lot of a lot of people that were brought here during the slave trade were from the west coast of Africa. And it's estimated that about 30% were Muslims. They were also Christians. They were also Africans who practiced traditional religions. So we came here with different religious beliefs and a different makeup when we came here. We weren't all one religion or had one particular religious beliefs. But during the time of being enslaved here, right, our slave masters introduced us to Christianity, right? And they introduced this to us because it was imposed on us, right? As a way to civilize us, as a way to control us. So they used Christianity improperly to enslave us, right? This doesn't invalidate the soundness of Christianity as a religion. This is just people using it as a tool of evil to enslave another people, right? And so we, as slaves, adopted this in order to get along, right? As a mode, a method of a way to survive. And then as we go on throughout history of us as people who are descended from Africa, right? We continue to believe in Christianity and adopt it and get into the teachings of Christianity for our own selves, right? So today, the majority of African Americans still are Christian, right? We practice Christianity. Some of us who converted to Islam were Christians before, right? And you still have Black Americans, some who converted to Hinduism, some who maintained their Islamic beliefs from when they came from Africa. Very few, but some did retain their Muslim beliefs. And so you still have this makeup today of Black Americans being Christian, being Muslim, a small number. The famous Sammy Davis Jr. converted and became a Jew, a Black Jew. So there might be a few of those, and different famous people that we know. Tina Turner, I think, was a Buddhist. She's Buddhist. Had practiced different religions. And this has just been the makeup of religion and the historical framework for how Black people have evolved and diversified in the institutions of religion and the role that religion has played in our daily lives. And we all know this. When we grew up, we were going to church and we were going to the mosque, and all our activities were usually centered around the church, and vacation Bible school in the summertime, and different Muslim camps in the summertime. And, so we all can relate to how we practice religion in various different ways, particularly when we were growing up. But religion has also been used as a tool for social justice in various different formats. And so I want to pass the mic over to our co host, Nefertari, to tell us a little bit about that.
Well, the role of religion has really taken many different facets over a period of time. So, and thank you, Nafisa, for giving us a little history on the role of religion and religion here in America as it relates to us as African Americans, especially. But when you think about social causes, the different religions, we talked about Christianity, Judaism, Islam, predominantly Christianity is like a very large percentage here in the United States. At the same time, we have all of these different religions, Judaism, as you mentioned, but Islam is like the fastest growing religion. And so over a period of time, it's like that question is there on why is it growing the fastest, and for me, when I think about it, I think about just a lot of where we came from. And I think that over time, it's just kind of like, looking back and things are like coming back to us. So thankful for that. And so with that, the Nation of Islam comes to mind too. When we think about things from a social cause, the Nation of Islam they're really very well known for being in the streets and helping people, African Americans, for the most part, African Americans, with turning their lives around, and they're meeting people like right where they are, and it's been that way for many, many years. The Nation of Islam definitely has a reputation for getting people off the streets and helping to clean them up, that self-development, the self-sufficiency, do for self, thinking about businesses, and then just like, if we don't do for our own selves, then it's kind of like who will. And so I think that even back, years ago, during the 60s and 70s, with the nation, it's like, the first phase was kind of like getting them cleaned up and off the street, whether it's drugs or alcohol or whatever. Not everybody kind of came through that realm, but that kind of helped to clean up a lot, and then get that business mind there for the self-development and sufficiency for developing community life, which has a huge impact on families. And so even when we look at things from the church, from the Baptist perspective, this was they really had a hand in on civil rights. And so the civil rights movement, really having a strong hand and eye out with just getting the people and promoting good, promoting love, promoting nonviolence. We especially know, Dr. King during the time period when he was here. I wonder how he would feel today, just seeing things and the differences. We've grown a lot, we've got a lot of things still going on, and some things are pictured a little bit differently than, the way it was, but things have definitely come a long way. So the as far as the civil rights movement and being able to get people more involved, one of the things that I still see today is, you think about church and politics, when you talk about separating church and state, it still kind of mixes even today, and I think that even when we look at things here recently with the voting for presidency, we know that when we're trying to reach a certain people in a certain area, who we can target as far as leadership. And so one of those places is in the church, even with the people who are in certain positions as a politician, they know that they need to visit the churches or they need to visit the mosque and wherever to be able to get to a certain type of people to make things happen. And so we've definitely had a lot of social changes, and it continues to have an effect. And I think it's like in a positive way when we can be able to target, or even with our youth, our young people, our middle-aged people that are, even though things are even a little bit different, we'll probably talk about that a little bit later, a little bit different perspective for our youth, for our young people, for our millennials, but definitely I think it has like a really good impact when we think about civil rights the movement itself, or not civil rights, but things from a political perspective. So what's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean that's just yeah, when you look about the role that religion has played, and when you talked about the politics of it too, and even current days, because
Mm-hmm.
people feel like if they can reach the leaders of these religious institutions, then those leaders will directly influence their congregation or their followers to follow them. So they always include religion and the leaders of those religious institutions in terms of politics and political
Mm-hmm.
policy and political campaigning in terms
Yeah,
of that
even getting
aspect.
registered to vote or stuff like that. It's like a lot of
Yeah,
times you even see that
exactly.
in the in the church
Exactly.
and the
And
ministry.
registering to vote. And at the end of the day, even the Pew Research study found that, particularly when you talk about Black folks, which is what we're focusing on here today, even the Pew Research found that Black Americans are more religious,
Mm-hmm.
right, than white
Mm-hmm.
Americans, right?
Mm-hmm.
We
Right.
just cling to religion and use religion more in our lives in the structures of religion than the wider population.
And where do
And
you think that
that's
came
just a truth.
from?
Huh?
And where do you think that came from? I think that's been in us for many years. That
Oh
definitely goes
yeah,
back to
definitely
slavery.
been in us for many years. And guess what? We have to believe in a higher
Mm-hmm.
a higher being, right? A
So
higher
we
spirit.
won't
We have
lose
to
our
believe in
minds
that
from the
because
injustices.
of the things that we have suffered in this country.
That part.
That belief and that belief in something higher than what it is that we've seen has been what has propelled us and allowed us to survive and
Mm-hmm.
thrive and transcend the atrocities that has been committed against Black people.
And
So
protect other people from our wrath. Because we
exactly,
know that
exactly,
mercy extends over wrath.
yes,
Yes.
So thank
exactly.
goodness for the mercy of the Black people.
That's
Yes.
right.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Mm-hmm.
right.
Yep.
Yes,
That's
yes.
right.
Man, now you
Yeah.
said something
So
there.
Okay.
yes. Oh yes. Oh yes. So that's why, and we can get into a whole bunch of things about that, but make no mistake about it. Black people, our roots, and even though younger people are making transitions, and we'll talk a little bit about that. I'm talking a little bit about that, but our roots is definitely rooted in our spirit and our religious beliefs.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And even though there have been recent studies, when you talk about the millennials and how people are moving away, even in a larger society, from religious institutions, right? Because there's a lot of discontent with the religious institutions for a variety of reasons. The Catholics are mad at the older establishment for not squashing a lot of the molestation that was going on and the whole cover up, and people are just fed up with that. And the people that are Catholic, and then a lot of Baptists or Protestant Christians are fed up with the whole
Prosperity.
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 Prosperity. That my getting the tongue tied. I need some
Right.
water, probably.
Yes.
Prosperity teaching. Teaching on this thing about only focusing on money, and then they're getting fed up with seeing the leaders of a lot of larger institutions drive around in all these luxuries, which in itself is not bad. But then you got the masses of people who are not progressing along with them buying their jet, with them getting their Rolls Royce. You don't have the masses of people moving forward. So a lot of people are discontented with religious institutions because they feel that for whatever reason they're not progressing. There's a disconnect
Right.
between what's going on with the spirit. And even when you talk about millennials, I mean, Pew did a research study talking about that millennials are moving away from the religious institutions,
Mm-hmm.
right? And not necessarily that they don't believe, right? That they don't have a strong belief in God or a being or something higher than themselves. They're just fed up with the structure and the institution of religion.
Mm-hmm.
But even in that, they said that Black millennials are still more religious than
Yes.
regular millennials,
Still on
right?
top.
So we still are going to have that tie to our religious institutions in some way, shape, or form, even if we don't always show up on Sunday, or we don't always show up on Friday to the mosque, or we don't always show up, if you Jew, a black Jew, or whatever, don't always show up on their Sabbath or whatever. So they're still tied in terms of what they believe in and to who they identify with, millennials. And so those are just some of the aspects and different ways and different groups who have used religion, who have experienced religion, and the different ways that religion has played a role in our lives. Another way that religion has played a role in our lives is when we talk about love. Y'all know I love love. I'm looking for my king. That's just a side note in case anybody out there, that's a side note. But anyway, on religion and love, I'm going to have to pass the mic to Naima.
Yes, religion and love. And I love love too as well. And so when we start talking about religion and love, it is all rooted in love, right? Everything that exists in the world, when we talk about love, has a higher power. It has a higher being. And we start examining how people come together. It is through a love act, through a religious act, even that people come together. They want to be married, the institution of marriage. And now, people, we have all kinds of marriages happening, right? Traditionally, in the dictionary, it was defined that marriage was a union between a man and a woman. And now we've had laws, governmental laws that have changed that said, the institution of marriage is between two people who love each other, right? But the whole premise of that still goes back to what? Religion. Why? Because they're still getting married in a religious practice of someone who is an officiator, officiating the ceremony, and then bringing God into the situation of, hey, this union is, blessed by God, as they would say. So when we start thinking about religion across the world, right? Traditionally, long time ago, we won't say too long ago because it's not long time ago, but about 20, 30 years ago, you would see people who, when they were coming together in love, in unions, that it was more similar, like people married people who were similar in their religion. So you would see Christians marrying Christians, and you would see Muslims marrying Muslims, and Jews marrying Jews, and Protestants, and Amish people, and only people in those particular religions would marry each other. And some religions have rules and laws that really go against, like if you don't marry within your religion, you're going against the religion, right? But now we live in a world where religion has taken on its own definition, even inside of each of the religions, right? And so people have begun to kind of define religion in a different way. So how I would practice Islam, how someone else would practice Judaism, how someone else practices Hinduism, it's really changed. And now you see more people coming together for the sake of, as we would say, the principles of a thing, right? For love, not for the principles of or the rituals of the religion, but for the principles, where more rooted into the virtues, as we would say, love, peace, justice, harm, all of those things that are in the 10 Commandments that the three major religions believe in, Muslims, Christians, and Jews. So people are really seeing the characteristics that they're looking for instead of just the religion. And then people are seeing that the religious practice can be practiced inside of the home individually, which is interesting because there's still a head of the family, and then the head kind of like, okay, well, everyone can practice their religion how they see fit. It's just really interesting these days and times, because you'll see a Muslim married to a Hindu person, and you'll see Hindus married to Baha'i people. And, it's just really interesting how the world has came and shaped itself. And then, of course, as you were talking about earlier, people coming away from religious institutions But now what we're seeing is that the institution is not as important as the practice. And we have all learned that. If you haven't learned that the practice is more important than the institution, you have not lived in 2020, okay? Because with COVID, we have learned that people can still practice their religion in the comfort of their own home. People can still study their religion in the comfort of their own home. People can still be, as we would say, religious or spiritual, which we know that there's a difference between religion and spirituality. We do want to make sure we say that, but that people can still practice those things in the comfort of their own home. And so when we start looking at all of the facets of religion, the historical aspect of religion, where we're at here in America, all of the different social causes that religion has kind of brought about and come together for the humanity, for the sake of the human being, not for I'm doing civil rights only for Christians. No, it's civil rights for humanity. So thinking about all of those social causes that have come together, and although even with the Nation of Islam, it was really predicated for the African American, but it was still for the upliftment of the human being, always wanting and seeing these social causes of wanting to uplift the human being in a greater and a higher identity. And then, of course, religion and love. Everyone wants to be acknowledged. Everyone, and that's what love does. Love acknowledges someone. It says that you're special, you are something, you're dignified, you're worthy of having a high place and a high thinking in someone's heart and mind. And so when we start thinking about all of these different things, religion still exists. And as many people that tell you, oh, religion is going down the drain, it isn't. It is taking a different form. It is showing up a different way, but religion is still being practiced every single day. And with that being said, I'm so excited that we were able to do this session, but I wanted to round up or kind of do a summation. And my final thought on religion and just all of it in its totality is that religion always, for me, is always boiled down to your relationship with your Lord. Between you and your Lord.
Say that. You can say that. Can you say that again?
I can. Between you and your Lord. Not
and you might say it 3 times.
And
you know
how other people
you gotta say it 3 times.
You and your Lord. It is only the relationship between you and him. Because he knows your thoughts. Even if people misinterpret your thoughts, he knows your thoughts. Right. Even he knows your intentions. Even when other people don't think highly of your intentions, he knows your intentions, right? He knows everything that you think about that you want to do and don't do, and you get blessings for that. And then he thinks about everything that you do that is good, and you get blessings for that. And you also get blessings for just being intentional to move and progress people. So every single day, it's really about you and your Lord. And I'm telling people, when they have a difficulty going on in their life, it's all about, hey, your Lord is like, I'm trying to line you back up with me. I'm trying to line you back up with me. So don't think of it, I have all this drama and all this stuff going on. No, this is specifically your Lord recentering you. And for 2020, I think that happened for everybody. Okay. Everybody. So that's my last point.
Well, Naima, we definitely we all got a touch of that, and many people have had a lot of tests and trials, tribulations this year.
Yes.
And I think my message would be, we talked about the different types of people, that we have different types of religions, even as an atheist, an atheist being someone who doesn't believe in God. So my message is for those people who do believe in God. And it would be like, God says, he says, I am as my servant expects me to be. He says, I'm with him when he remembers me.
Right.
So just remembering God, I would say, however it is that you practice, make sure that you worship, make sure that you pray, make sure that you keep God first. Just keep God first in everything that you do, no matter what it is. You know, a lot of times we may feel like, oh, I'm just too busy to stop and pray. But it's like you have to really remember where these things came from. Like, you know, there would be no existence of anything if there was no God. This is our belief. I know I'm trying to like talk where I'm like talking to everyone, but
Right.
you know, we believe that there is a God. There is God. There's a one God. So, and there's a dua that I like to make that I wanted to share, and it's oh Allah, I cannot manage my life not without you. It says, please make my life what you want it to be, what you prefer it to be. You know, do not allow me to act on my own. Help me to act only in obedience to you.
Right.
So I think that if, you know, no matter who you are,
crying.
where you are, like,
I
I'm
hear, girl. I hear, girl. That's that religion, honey. It's sinking in, baby. I feel it because you're making me start to shake.
Yeah.
Ooh, take a deep breath, honey. Take a deep breath.
Yeah.
I mean. Yes.
Yes.
That part.
Yes.
That part.
That part right there.
Yes.
And so as we wrap it up and we close this session, the role of religion in Black America, where are we headed?
Mm-hmm.
I think Naima touched on a very important point when she said our relationship with religious institutions is changing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But our relationship with the religion is just taking a different form. Mm-hmm. And I do especially believe that to be true among Black Americans. So even the Black millennials will stick to that in some way, shape, or form, even if they don't identify with a particular religious structure or a particular religious institution. And as we move forward, and it just so happens that this is taking place in December at the end of 2020,
woo,
which our grandchildren and great-grandchildren will be reading about in the history books, just like we read about the civil rights and we read about the Depression and the war. They're going to be reading about this. And as we go into the next year, right, as we move forward, we want to encourage everyone to strengthen your connection to God.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Always make sure that you center that. That you center that and you grab hold of that, right? And you use that. Always ask God for wisdom and to open me up to receive his guidance.
I mean,
you know, open me up to receive your guidance and your wisdom so that it can flow through me and I deliver it to whoever I'm supposed to give it to. Mm-hmm. You know? So I just want to offer up and say that I want everyone to stay encouraged and that there is a purpose in everything. Mm-hmm. And as we Black folks like to say from our tradition, one of the things we always say in this religious base is that this too shall pass.
Okay, that part.
This too shall pass.
Okay.
And we're going to triumph on the other side because it's already been written. Mm-hmm. Right? It's already been written. And Black folks, especially Black folks in America, who were enslaved and suffered those atrocities, mm-hmm. right? There's a special calling on our life. Yes. I believe that. Mm-hmm. It's a special calling. So regardless of what religion you practice, it's a special calling on your life because of that. So get centered, get connected, move forward. And I'm just excited, and we're going to move forward with that. And make sure.
Getting a big COVID hug to everybody. Yes. That was
yes, that's how we gonna end it, with a big COVID hug. Yes, I know that's right. We
As
giving you
we
big
all
hugs.
Evangelize tonight.
Yes, that
Today.
well,
And in the morning.
we didn't really get up on the pulpit like we wanted to, because we all know we come from a tradition where we can be here for hours if we did that.
That part.
Yes.
But we gonna see you on the flip side on our Facebook, because you're gonna follow us. You're gonna like and subscribe to us on YouTube, and then you're also going to see us on Twitter. We have a little Twitter account. Follow us on there as well. And remember, we will see you next time, as they would say back in the church, if the good Lord is willing and the creek don't rise.
See you on the next episode of Rock the Crown.
Love you all.
Thank you.
Love you.